Welcome back to the program. Keith Hillier, Max Pressel, so much to talk about in racing at the moment. Keith, what was the highlight yesterday at Flemington?
Well, I suppose the highlight of events to come is that Simon Marshall is suspended, and the news this morning is that Gerald Ryan has engaged Damien Oliver to ride exclusive Halo next Saturday in the Todman Stakes. And the Golden Slipper, well, depended on Simon Marshall's appeal, and he will appeal.
Fair enough. Max, the highlight from Sydney yesterday?
Oh, undoubtedly Strategic, Bruce. Strategic scored in the Skyline like a top-class horse. He's entitled to be favourite for the Golden Slipper. 6-4, though, at this stage, I feel is a little bit skinny.
Let's talk about him a little later. I heard your comments about Strategic yesterday on radio here in Melbourne. I found them interesting, Keith. Danewin, what do we make about all of this? He looked a good thing yesterday. It looked to be a reasonable ride. That was a question mark against the Jackie Shea. He looked disappointing up the straight.
I think there's three factors, Bruce, you've got to take into consideration. Was Danewin seasoned enough for the 1900 metres?
Fair enough.
I think that is a point. Is Danewin a genuine stayer? And also, does Danewin run for Jackie Shea?
I think throw in a fourth, Max, was the track OK at Canterbury yesterday, because we saw El Jazi, heavily back favourite in the first, never a chance. We saw Poetic King, a short price favourite, flop, and then Danewin beaten by a 80 to 1 shot coming down the outside.
Well, Poetic King isn't there, Keith. He isn't what he was. El Jazi's coming back after a leg operation, and I don't think the track had anything to do with Danewin. The fact is that had you have known that Jackie was going to ride it like this, you would have wanted to lay twos on, but the horse was disappointing. But why? Now have a look at Danewin now, 3 off the fence. Is he running for Jackie? Has Jackie got the power to stand over this horse now? I don't want to be overcritical. I appreciate the fact that Jackie's record on the horse isn't that bad, but I don't think Danewin runs for Jackie. I want to see Danewin with Shane Dye up, and then we'll assess just how good he is.
Well, I think that's unfair criticism, because I thought Danewin ran well for Jackie Shea yesterday, and don't blame the rider, blame the horse.
Now, we've got a stallion there. You could be right in as much as blame the horse. We've got a stallion who is getting stubborn, precocious, strong-willed. Jackie doesn't hurt him. Jackie doesn't make him do his best.
OK, run through a couple quickly. St Covert?
St Covert, non-stayer, probably restricted to sprints from here on in.
Allegro, the New Zealander who ran second?
A dour stayer, sort of horse that impresses you as a horse that'll run out 2,400 metres.
Shouldn't forget the winner. He looked pretty impressive, Shaskay.
Yes, hasn't had a lot of racing, but I'd want to see him do it again before I get carried away with it, Bruce.
Well, Keith, your comments yesterday about Strategic were that you felt that it was a really good win. It was not a win to get completely carried away, but the important point was that he's a very genuine horse and you'll keep on trying.
It's a sort of street fighter of the turf. He just keeps in there. You can't knock him down, you can't knock him out. And his win yesterday, I can't believe that he didn't start favourite in the race against the New Zealand two-year-old.
Oh, the hype of the New Zealander. This is the best New Zealand two-year-old we've seen, or so we were led to believe.
He's leading our maze, Kay. We've got Kidman's Cove, the Queenslander, on the outside, and Strategic next. I thought there was a moment, Max, coming up shortly where there was a danger for Strategic. It's about to happen now. You'll see Beedman really start to dig in here about at this point here, and I just wondered how he would accelerate, but he was very genuine in the straight.
He's a beautiful, relaxed horse, Keith. That's one of his major pluses. He answers to Beedman. Now, this is it. Beedman's asking him the question, come on, let's see how good this New Zealander is, and Strategic is showing him. Incidentally, the New Zealander, despite having had 8 starts, he looked above himself in condition. He's a tank-like type of two-year-old, and if he'd gone into that race having his first start, it wouldn't have surprised you on his appearance. But I certainly would run him in the Golden Slipper.
Are they going to pay the $100,000? The connections have to pay $100,000 to get the horse in. Yeah,
well, they're New Zealanders. They don't like parting with 100 grand, but nevertheless, I believe they've got plenty. So I'd say 100,000 is a reasonable investment.
So at this stage, Strategic is, I think, the genuine favourite for the Golden Slipper. Let's see how exclusive Halo goes next week. He's the fresh horse on the scene, isn't he?
He's the top Victorian hope, and he keeps firming. He's into about 8 or 9 to 1 now from 16s without having raced for months.
Now, Bruce, don't you dare, exactly. Don't you dare forget Milrich, because Milrich's figures yesterday were every bit as good as Strategic. Milrich was having a 3rd run, Strategic the 5th. So you've got to think there was more scope for improvement with Milrich. She drifted out over the latter stages, done a few things wrong. She is an exceptional two-year-old. But why Strategic holds my top place at present, he's imperturbable. A hot day, a very humid day yesterday, not a fleck of sweat. He is just calm in the enclosure. He's calm in the run. He's a ready-made racehorse. But
makes a difference, doesn't it? But, Max, sorry to butt in there, but because we'll get to Melbourne races. But the other thing with Milrich too is that she hasn't been put under pressure, and so there's a question mark, isn't it? Whereas
well, that's right, but he run the time yesterday, and there again, put under pressure, would Milrich have done any better? But the scope is there for improvement from the filly.
Well, something to look forward to. Blevik yesterday, a protest with Baryshnikov. I guess Hurricane Sky, he's now going for a spell. The only query on this form was Ram Lee, who was so close and won a maiden at Seymour, you know, in January, but gee, Blevik is dead set on us, and with Dame Win's demise yesterday, suddenly Blevik becomes a horse for the Derby.
He's going to try and do what Mahogany did last year, win both Derbies. The fact that there's nothing between these three-year-olds each time they step out, Blevik, Hurricane Sky and Baryshnikov and St Covert, just makes me wonder whether this is a good year for three-year-olds or not. Now, there's Blevik. He's going as straight as a gun barrel, and Baryshnikov comes in very close to him and cops a couple of whacks over the scone with Mick Dittman's whip on Blevik. Jim Cassidy protested. It was tossed out in pretty quick time.
You just wonder where the best form is at the moment, don't you? The other Sydney form with Dame Win and this form. St Covert has made it even more confusing because his absolute failure yesterday. So we'll see when they get together. Blevik can stay, and that's a big thing. Hariba. Now, everyone's saying he's back. His run last week was every bit as good as his run yesterday. He failed to dominate these horses yet. Look, I love Hariba. He's a terrific horse, but his run in the Newmarket was outstanding. Why is everyone saying, oh, he's back? I mean, there was no difference, in my opinion, between that run yesterday and the run the week before.
Well, what's the point you're making? That he was never absent?
No, well, the point I'm making is that he hasn't suddenly grown another leg this week. There hasn't been a new Hariba. I'm just saying that will be beatable, as any horse is. He's no super horse that's unbeatable after this run yesterday.
He's almost unbeatable, very difficult to beat when a race is like the one we're watching now, where he can dominate it, where he can set the pace, where he can explode away, where he's not under pressure from lighter weighted opposition in handicap races. In a race like yesterday, there's virtually no stopping him. 7 runs down the straight, I think, for 5 wins, Bruce. It's a pretty good record.
The point I'm saying is he was no better, in my opinion, yesterday than he was the week before. What about you, Max? You got an opinion?
No, that's relevant, Bruce. That's relevant. But don't forget, Hariba beat a couple of pretty fair horses and beat them well. He's a top-class racehorse.
No question about that, but he wasn't better yesterday. Look, we're nearly out of time.
Simon Marshall said when he gets to the Doncaster, they won't see which way he went.
He won't win the Doncaster.
That's just, well,
he won't get 1,600.
Well, who knows? Hasn't failed at it, hasn't been tried at it.
Snap.
Oh, terrific. She was too classy for her rivals. Twisted a plate. Luckily, it was past the post, and she limped back. She's fine this morning.
We've got to go. There's so much to talk about. Good luck Caulfield today, and races interstate as well. No races in Sydney. Is that right, Max?
That's correct.
OK, good on you. Love the haircut, Max. Kate back with an update after this. On Prime News.
Set to run, racing. Blevik missed it May, about a half length, but he's eased him back. One of the first out, Hurricane Sky, from Baryshnikov, followed by Skybird or Ram Lee. And last is Blevik. He's got to sit a little wide on the outside there of Ram Lee's out 3 deep early. When they settle down now, Hurricane Sky off the fence 3/4 in front of Baryshnikov as they go up towards the 1650. Ram Lee there goes up third. Baryshnikov, he got his head up again over on the inside. He wouldn't settle in that early point. 2 lengths to Skyburner, and on the outside of him, Blevik. To the back they go, 1,500 out. Hurricane Sky allowed to bowl along in front, got out 1.5 lengths in front of Ram Lee. Baryshnikov is now settling a little bit better, third on the fence, 1.5 then to Blevik on the outside of Skyburner. To the back they race in the Alistair Clark now at the 1,300 metre mark. Hurricane Sky, 1.5 in front. Ram Lee second, Baryshnikov over on the inside, just inclined to get up in the bit a little, running third. 1.5 further back, the Derby winner now, Blevik running fourth, 1 off the fence, and 3/4 to Skybird, last of all, down the side. At the 1,100 metre mark, and the leader is Hurricane Sky, nearly a length in front of Ram Lee, and third is Baryshnikov, 1/2 then to Blevik, he'll go up fourth. 1.5 then to Skyburner, last of all, as they race towards the crossing at the 900 metre mark. Hurricane Sky dictating his terms, about a neck in front of Ram Lee. 2 then to Baryshnikov, and now Blevik goes up on the outside of him to put Baryshnikov in that pocket. And 2 to Skyburner, last of all. Baryshnikov is going to be held up when they turn for home. Up to the bend they race at the 650 metre mark. Hurricane Sky, Ram Lee. Now Blevik is the first one to make his move. He goes up 3 deep on the outside. Baryshnikov is now bailed up. Cassidy is pushing Skyburner out of the way. They're having a bump into the straight now. It's Hurricane Sky, Nick Ramley, who's flat, and Blevik now. The acid test is on Blevik as Dittman calls on him now, and Blevik is ranging up to Hurricane Sky from Ramley. A length and a half then to Baryshnikov at the 250, and Blevik and Hurricane Sky, and Blevik has hit the front now. He drew a half length in front of Hurricane Sky, a length further back Baryshnikov. It's Blevik, the leader. On the outside, Baryshnikov starting to close. He's calling on Blevik. Baryshnikov coming at him. Blevik is answering. No, Blevik knows Baryshnikov. Ramley a half away third. 2 lengths fourth is Hurricane Sky, and Skyburner last of all.
214, Blevik number 2, 230, 120. 1 Baryshnikov, $1.50 and no third for number 4, Ramley.
Number 2, Blevik to return for the win, 115, the place 70. 1 Baryshnikov, 75, no third for Ramley. 2.7 was the time.
And slowly but surely, Baryshnikov started to bridge the gap on Blevik. He pulled everything out on Blevik here, Dittman. And they got very close over the last 60 or 70 metres. He refused to give in, Blevik, and number 2 goes in the frame. Number 2, and he's got home about a half head over Baryshnikov. And Ramley, which was under pressure when they turned for home, refused to give in. And he is stuck on very well. Hurricane Sky just weakening to run officially fourth. Leading them up. Might have run his race before the event. He did sweat up pretty badly here, Hurricane Sky, and Blevik. He was the horse that had improved from that weight for age run. And Dittman at his best here today. He's lifted this horse, Blevik, to get him home a half head over Baryshnikov. And Ramley probably a neck to a half length away in third place. And he had to pull out all stops on Blevik. But one thing I'll tell you about the race is there's still a little bit of improvement in this horse, Blevik. You go to Sydney now for the big ones up there, including the Derby, and there's still a little bit of improvement left in this horse. They got
more for Brian Martin shortly.
Bounced okay. Scalacci probably the first out from 3. Mahogany goes up in the middle now and further back behind those never under charge. Hariba's quickly got the front over on the inside, led by a half length to Scalacci, and Mahogany back in the middle. They're followed by Belzevere out wide, a Royal Discarded, never under charge, tucks in behind. He's got him right up on the bit, Hariba, when they settle now and go to the 850 crossing. It's Hariba by just on a length to Scalacci, and tucked away third Mahogany. They're followed by never under charge inside Belzevere. Over the crossing at the 800 metre mark, and Royal Discard, the widest runner, coming towards the course proper now, and the leader is Hariba. A neck in front of Scalacci on the outside, putting some pressure on him. 1.5 Mahogany behind them. They start to extend now as they come onto the course proper. 400 to go, and it's Hariba on the inside, 3/4 a length in front of Scalacci, who's flat. So too is Mahogany, and Hariba's on the steel as they race towards the 250 metre mark. He extends 2 in front of Mahogany. Dittman throwing everything at Mahogany, then Scalacci. Now Marshall about to field for the weapon. Hariba is a length in front. Mahogany starting to close on the outside. Hariba answers the call though. Oh, he's back the champ today, Hariba. Wins it just on a length, Mahogany, and nose third Scalacci. 10 lengths further back, Belzevere never under charge. And last of all, Royal Discard.
412, number 4, Hariba, the winner, to pay $1.90, $1.30, 1 Mahogany, $1.40. No third return for number 2, Scalacci.
Number 4, Hariba, 90 and 65. 1 Mahogany, 90. No third for 2, Scalacci. This is Triple SFN, the Good Sports. Moving up at the Greyhounds, let's go to Kello.